Hey, welcome to the exchange. So American Airlines actually just updated their current guidance for second quarter 2022, which that quarter actually ended June 30th itself. So we'll actually have an updated guidance on that when they actually release earnings officially on July 21st. This is a good almost like pre-look at the earnings report, what it's actually going to say. So this is what they gave us so far. And again, this is after July 12th. I mean, it's mostly in line here, but notice down here, the very bottom line here, or second to the bottom line, is pre-tax margin. It's basically profit margin. It's at positive 5%. So after 9 quarters of burning cash itself, they're profitable again, which is absolutely fantastic. It's the same for most of the airlines across the board. They actually just hit profitability this summer in this current quarter end right now. So let's look at where they could go in the future and how things could change both positively and negatively. So this is the model for American Airlines based on their Q2 guidance, kind of all plug and play all those various numbers in the various lines there. Let's start on the very top up here, seeing operating revenues. I'm gonna say they're coming in roughly at $13.4 billion. I think current guidance right now is $13.3 billion. So if I had to guess, when it actually reports July 21st, they'll actually have roughly a $100 million revenue beat on the top line there. Now this is down. I thought it'd be a little bit higher. I thought it'd be closer to 13.6 billion. It's down basically because capacity is down. I mean, you've heard it all summer with like cancellations, flight delays, etc. Now they weren't as badly hit as like Delta Airlines was, for example, but it's still pretty bad across the board. And even a 1% basic delay or cancellation basically is, it's a massive top line hit right there, which I think is roughly around $200 million right now. Now, moving down to aircraft and fuel taxes, I mean, it's just a massive line for every airline out there. I mean, it's their major cost bucket overall. Now, prices have been dropping. I mean, the big fear was you saw in late May when basically oil prices skyrocketed there, and, basically jet fuel, or basically grade A jet fuel skyrocketed as well, too. But I mean, they're ended up roughly around $4 billion. I thought it'd be a little bit worse, actually. I mean, I thought it'd be close to 4.4, maybe $4.5 billion. So this actually was a massive savings, in my opinion, they actually had. And again, the further this drops, the better it will go overall. Now, for a rough example here, for every 10% crude oil prices drop down, so let's say, hey, right now they're at 96, they go down to like, let's say 87 or so. I mean, it'd be roughly about a $250 million basically bottom line profit increase overall. So again, these financials are very, very volatile across the entire industry right now. So another big bucket down here is actually salaries, wages, and benefits. This is actually employee actual salaries, which, I mean, they have the staff they really need on hand for, basically the 2022 and really 2023 as well. Really the big problem with them is like just training and pipeline itself of like pilots coming on board, also flight attendants coming on board, also ground crew, etc. I mean, it's just a matter of getting people trained up, get the optimization and operations going smoothly across the board. And basically will let capacity increase once those things are actually in place itself. Really probably for 2023, and Delta Airlines mentioned this as well in the earnings call. I mean, it's just capacity right now, it's just very, very tight. And that's why you have so many cancellations, so many delays across the board. But they're saying, hey, probably by summer 2023, this all should be worked out and all the airlines will be back to basically roughly 100% versus 2019 levels. Now, moving on to the next line, I mean, these are all kind of smaller buckets here, and these will change a little bit, but not massive dollar value changes across the board. They did report special items here net, roughly $85 million, so not a massive bucket there. They reported other $325 million, so again, it's not that massive versus previous quarters itself. But look down here, I'm saying right here, operating profit, roughly $1 billion of operating profit, which is absolutely fantastic for American Airlines. Now, interest expense, I mean, this will match basically the previous quarter, roughly about $400 million or so in there. But looking at here, the actual net gain and loss here, roughly $500 million, basically post-tax itself, which again, this is very, very profitable itself. I mean, this is a lot of cash for a struggling industry overall in the past few years. So looking at actual earnings per share, what I'm seeing right here is roughly 67 cents earnings per share. Now the actual guidance itself was 74 cents, so it's actually a little bit short on that. They're actually going to miss earnings per share, I think, by a tad. And actually have a typo right here. It should be 67 cents. But again, hey, shares outstanding diluted 718.5 million, which they gave us just now in the previous report itself. So again, if I had to guess, I'd say top line beat roughly $100 million. Earnings per share miss, but not a major miss. It'd be a slight miss. I mean, Delta Airlines had the exact same kind of scenario itself right there. But again, look at this forward PE ratio for American Airlines. It is very, very small. I mean, it's a 7 right now. So, and the market PE ratio right now is roughly a 16. So, I mean, it's pretty deeply valued across the board. And this is the same for most of the airlines across the board. But again, look down here. I mean, if we have a massive fuel basically decrease, if we have basically commodities crashing, kind of a recessionary environment right there, I mean, this could be actually a massive profit margin expansion itself. So again, if this drops even 20, 30%, I mean, that just goes straight to the bottom line down here. And this profit actually could go exponential, pretty fast, assuming demand stays pretty strong across the board for most of the airlines. So when they actually release earnings on July 21st, what I'm gonna look at real fast is actually number one is salary, wages, and benefits. See how high it actually goes. I mean, it's one of those things. I think it could be a very hot kind of OpEx expense line item that can get very hefty very fast. Not really now, more in like 2023 if that keeps increasing at the same rate. Number two is actually revenue, basically forecasting itself. So really for Q3 and Q4, see what their actual guidance is, see what the booking guidance is, make sure demand's still pretty high. Because obviously if demand drops off, they lose pricing power. Oil price is pretty high right now, or they stay high, overall for the rest of 2022. They could be back to very negative very fast if they're not careful. Now the opposite could happen too. We could have, hey, demand's pretty high and pretty stable for Q3 and Q4. All of a sudden, hey, we're in a recession. Basically oil itself crashes, down to $6 a barrel, like Citigroup said. I mean, it could be a massive, massive margin expansion across the board for American Airlines and really all the airlines in general. Hey, that's American Airlines, and really, if I had to guess right now, I think we're at that inflection point where either option A, margins expand the rest of 2022 into 2023, or option B happens and it really had profit margin basically collapses, and all of a sudden there you're basically burning cash again the rest of 2022 into 2023. But if I had to guess, I say option A is much more likely, but we'll have to see really how it plays out with commodities, demand for travel and everything else too. Also the recession fears and what kind of the Fed does in the long term in general. But if you like the content overall, want to see updated content in general, be sure to sub in the corner of the channel right there. Appreciate all support both from current and new subscribers as well too. But also, be sure to comment if you're an investor in American Airlines or any airline in general for that matter, whether bullish or bearish. I kind of want to hear your rationale, your thesis, either for it or against it, etc. But yeah, until next time, that's the exchange.